Hello, this is Jason Mundragon. Welcome to my podcast Universal Consciousness, where I'm taking on everything in the universe and making it comprehensible to the collective consciousness. So far, I have followed the stream of consciousness from its origination into this universe. From the birthing of galaxies, to the birthing of stars, to its manifestation here on our planet. I have brought forth manifestations of greater beings, to perfected beings, and how these various paths were in fact a united force. All religions, all sciences, and all ancient and new philosophies were seeking to connect. But it is due to our blocks and hindrances which disallowed truth to fully surface. America is foreseen to produce this next perfected being. To do this, it must be able to realize all wisdom free of delusion. We, here in America, must truly become that melting pot. Consciousness does not predict the future, for consciousness creates the now. Nothing is inevitable. We are now on the precipice of cosmic realizations, and this too must be known. There are so many who have kept their experiences and fears secret. I am sure I will test many with what I will now put forth. For someday in the future, I will at least feel relief that we are not so shaken that the world falls into an hysteria. Well, at least those that disbelieve. And so, let's get started. Star beings in the known universe. When the Buddha opened up the pathways to liberation, know that this wasn't just done here on Earth. All of water's evolution that shared the same genetic makeup across the known universe now had the ability to become conscious. Whereas before blocked at mentalism and not able to proceed. This influenced star beings across the physical and dimensional levels of the universe. As with the universal mind opening its fold to Hermes Trismegistus, the source of consciousness now did so with Siddhartha Gautama. Many stories will continuously arise about these two beings, but their path, like many others, must be realized for us to awaken to universal consciousness. Hermes brought forth alchemy, astrology, science, and medicine. Whereas the Buddha brought forth compassion, truth, realization, and liberation from suffering. Touched individually by the left and right hand of the omniconscious, we are able to truly contemplate our dual evolution. To conquer this barrier of mentalism, three planes must collectively be unblocked to those of water's evolution. The planes of thoughts, mentalism, and knowledge can appear to be a difficult hurdle. Fortunately, many of us from Earth's evolution are part of the collective consciousness and need not achieve this. However, on the rarest occasion there could be beings that identify so deeply with water's evolution and are not corrupted by the outer universe. This could be continued lifetimes in industrialized rich societies, or existing completely within their mental construct of the world. Star beings tend to be miscategorized by us, partially due to our lack of full realization of the universe of which we live. Accepting this, we can come to understand that many beings exist on many levels among the elemental planes. Many conceive angels as existing in what we believe to be heaven, when in fact they are elementals from the plane of holy. Though somewhat disrespectful in his approach, King Solomon knew this very well and formulated summoning magic for both beings of holy and beings of dark, which we think of as demons. In addition, and this could be quite tricky at first, beings that possess more spiritual strength than us can enforce how they are perceived by us. If we possess more spiritual energy but aren't conscious of this, we enforce how these lesser beings are perceived from our conceptual understandings. An example would be that we are told in church service what demons are, and later when an innocent sylph spirit blows open the window in our room, we perceive it as a demon and may even see a demonic shape. Greater elementals from the prime elements and higher elements like to fool us into seeing them as magnanimous beings and will take on shapes to identify with our fears. This is most apparent in the fallen which followed Lucifer and continue to this day. It would be very easy to misperceive star beings this way, for now we live in a world where everything is considered extraterrestrial. There is also a growing storyline that subterranean beings have incredible cities here on Earth. I have spoken on the ancient safe havens created by the collective. Just know that we will not accidentally walk into them. They are of advanced dimensional capabilities. What can we do to determine if we in fact are in the presence of a star being? The foremost thing to do is become aware of your consciousness. Any lacking would make this event hard to comprehend. The world is full of spirits that move throughout our lives in ways we can barely understand. It is best that we don't give them all our full attention, for many of them exist with duties to perform. In addition, there could be corrupted zones, which was discussed in the first book, where all sensitive beings can be influenced by internalized horrors. This all makes for a very confusing life if we are avoiding accepting consciousness. It has become apparent that we have created blocks early in life to avoid seeing these truths and stifle others from developing such gifts. I can give you what is known to the collective consciousness. This is not to say that anything more or less is wrong, it just doesn't reside within the collective. They may reside within dimensions and other realms shadowed within the known universe, or even within the reality of a greater being imparting their influence on a group of followers. I have already spoken of the consciousness of the planetary bodies but haven't detailed the societies in which they exist. Just understand that individually planets and suns of a single solar system possess both separate and collective personalities. When advancing this observation, these personalities can be engulfed into yet another collective personality of the galaxy in which they reside. Next, these greater galactic personalities can be placed into three categories within the known universe: collective, conscious, universal, mental, or outer, corrupted. This will determine the type of beings that reside within these regions, and how we should view these heavenly bodies and what chaos or harmony we see. Higher among these beings are the star systems we know as astrological signs. We have had such an extensive connection with them, we know well their distinct personality traits. They are individuals among the greater universal systems. These astrological signs are the guardians of a universal design that must not be formally presented within this writing, just to be made aware of. Many other entities within the known universe can reside and not be of the collective and are free-moving. They can hail from places other than the outer universe and the plane of dark. These are the primordial elemental planes, which reside below the manifested elemental planes, and the planes of chaos, which is yet to be discussed. Many can reside outside of the known universe but are rarely of the collective consciousness, for light does not touch them. Star beings of the collective will be organic or biological with a very distinct ability to self-procreate or self-repair. They may possess any array of technological advancements to assist in these capabilities. These are the beings known to consciousness. They are of the star beings that benefited from the Buddha's awakening and have been developing consciousness at their individual paces for the last 2,500 years. The only exception would be the Pleiadians, who were graced into the collective since the end of the Atlantean Age. All others not mentioned will have derived from areas not yet discussed. 1. The Pleiadians. The Pleiadians come from a bright star cluster known as the Pleiades. They are one of the beings in the Milky Way and known as once residing here on Earth as the White Magi of the Atlantean Age. They now reside in the plane of light and are guardians of the infinity stream. The infinity stream is the bridgeway our consciousness is processed through when reincarnating. It is the force that all time resides in. It is here that we speak of the bright light and seeing past relatives during NDE, near-death experience. Their bodies are of pure energy now after shedding all ties to collective karmic advancements. Though not immortal, they can self-sustain for an unaccountable amount of time. They will not procreate and so are particularly cautious of that which could possibly harm them. 2. The Anunnaki. I may harm some concepts of this star race, for it is believed that they come from a planet that resides within our solar system. Nibiru is their home planet, but resides on a solar system close to us. It is a very organic planet that is developed by harvesting 100% natural resources, which makes it unseeable close to 90% of the time here from Earth. We may one day develop the capabilities. Their technology has developed the planet as a source of heat to sustain themselves for the long travels beyond their sun's warmth. They did come to Earth to farm our rich resources of gold, for their planet's thermal projects. They did not bioengineer the human race, they were experimenting on enhancing our already human forms. They sought to extend our lives, which initially worked but dwindled as we procreated. There were many other experiments that were eventually deemed inhumane by Enki and stopped. They are highly advanced in gravitational technologies. They have transformed their satellites, moons, into ships that can dislodge themselves from their home planet and propel into the galaxy. This does have a gravitational effect on the solar systems they interact with and takes a very long time to move about, in addition to the calculation of all other planetary systems' movements to reach their goal. It is such ships that have caused us to believe that another planet orbits our solar system, but it has since left and reconnected back to its own. 3. Greys. The Greys come from a star system known as Zeti Reticuli, which is a star system located somewhere in the southern celestial hemisphere. They generally are the star beings that have evolved to high intelligence and will have a variety of shades and features, much like humans. At over 40 light-years away, they must strictly plan their travels to Earth when there's an opening. They tend to perform many experiments on Earthlings, but ironically, it's for their own data storage. They continually document and categorize universal species. Tall and humanoid with a long head, and distinctive gray features, they are the most commonly depicted alien life form in our media. And are also the beings that are most commonly described by alien abductees who have been returned back to Earth. The Greys have the greatest tendency to be involved in abductions. They are not of the outer universe but seem to have a calling all their own. They communicate only out of what they consider necessity. Humans consider them cold and emotionless. They have no tendency to be involved with takeovers or manipulate Earth's civilizations, only to document which is speculated as a purpose they have self-evolved into. The Sasani is a version of Greys, but we have created hybrid stories of them. 4. Arcturians. Among the species known to inhabit the Milky Way, the Arcturians are the most ancient and intelligent. They do have strong mental bonds here on Earth, but not for control over our societies. They play with mastering their mental powers as youths by dominating minds here and controlling them for time spans. They initially have technology that acts as channels for their minds to reach here, then as they advance can move their minds here without assistance. They have developed a tier list to determine their mental capabilities, and very strict laws when performing dominating techniques here on Earth. Mental strength is what fuels their society from fundamental living to highly evolved technology. They believe themselves to be the first system to be given the gift of life in our galaxy, because they equate intelligence with evolution. They've mutated and evolved over their time and now exist in many forms. The main race of Arcturians stands to about 5 feet with green skin and large eyes. Traveling here to Earth is more of a field trip for them to observe, or perhaps directly link up mentally with those they have dominated. Many stories can develop from Earthlings meeting another that has been dominated by an Arcturian. We get stories of time travelers or people from other dimensions, or humans having complete memory loss when the Arcturian is still new to their abilities. The Yahail is a portion of this race that have decided to have closer interactions with Earth and now live here in dimensional pockets. We so far don't equate the two species as one. 5. Alpha Centaurian. The Alpha Centaurians are a humanoid race possessing aquatic qualities about them such as gills and webbed limbs to allow surviving in their oceanic environments. They have a luminous, bluish-gray skin tone and appear to vary significantly in height. They are said to possess vast scientific and technical prowess that is amongst the highest quality in the universe, but also possess such advanced weapons systems that other species are afraid to war with them. Even so, they are very theoretical. Part of their mission statement on Earth is to help raise its local populace's scientific, technical, and theoretical knowledge. There are also claims they are here to enlighten mankind's consciousness, however this will never be done through these technical means they have proposed. This mental enlightenment is to allow Earthlings to actually comprehend their knowledge, due to its vast superiority to that on Earth. Telepathic in nature, they attempt to make their knowledge known to others by telepathically linking up with some of mankind's most advanced scientists, although since they are so incredibly intelligent by comparison and have such a high vibration, it is occasionally difficult for them to ground their ideas to the earthly plane. Because of this they have allied with the Sirians, who are quite good at bridging this gap due to being very good at the practical application of ideas, as well as making these theories usable for a third-dimensional society such as that of Earth. As such, the Sirians operate as the workers and doers of the Earth for the Alpha Centaurians. 6. Sirians. The Sirians are part of the alien cultures who assist Earth and all her inhabitants, humans, animals and nature. Sirians are spiritual warriors, and strongly connected to life forms of dolphins and whales. There is a growing movement to inhabit these forms when we reincarnate through the collective, as what are called star seed races. This is only made possible by advanced technologies. Generally when an awakened soul understands the importance to Earth's evolution they decide to come back to source. Sirians are hardworking but subservient in mentality, extremely kind-natured but not well at originating creative thoughts. They originate from the Sirian cluster. They are dog-like humanoids with scaly dark-skinned, have dark pronounced eyes, yet produce a feeling of peacefulness when seen. Next, we will look at beings that we have come to believe are star beings. They come to us in the beauty and light displays we have come to expect. Never once being able to consciously perceive truth, these beings do not necessarily cause harm. Some have developed into strong helping societies through our believing in them and giving them our creative powers. Others are self-sustained and strong societies, we just misplace their true home territories. 1. Telosian. Mostly blonde in hair color, they give off the look of a traditional exceptionally tall Nordic. They have loose contact with the Pleiadians and other groups via ancient ancestral ties, since the Telosians bear elemental ties like the Pleiadians. The key difference is that the Telosians are of air's evolution. We have yet to discuss air's and fire's evolution because they are cousins to earth's and water's. Their evolution was fully encompassed in their plane of existence and already possessed high forms of society. For many different reasons, they are bound to the physical realm and placed here for either punishment or betterment. During this time, they attempt to aggrandize themselves to humans for protection by fabricating star-being myths. 2. Nordic Lyrians. Starting once again from the Atlantean Age, the white magi existed with a two-class system. One class was considered the spiritualist and the other was the warrior class. The Atlanteans were an advanced society which is well known. When fleeing Earth during the Atlantean Wars they traveled via a crystallized machine that created pocketed dimensional portals. These portals opened gateways to inhabitable worlds. They would jump these portals many times until they settled within the Pleiadian cluster. Once settled, the spiritualist class was free to advance their consciousness and become what they are today. The warrior class became the Lyrians and settled while developing a very warrior class society due to the onslaught of corruption from the outer universe for hundreds of thousands of years. Lyrians are a race of sentient, lupine, bipedal beings. Our stories of werewolves come to mind. They possess Nordic-like features as well, a semblance of their Earth-like heritage, and can appear fully human though extremely well built. As they age, however, they take on aggressive lupine-like qualities that are very uniquely individualized. Technologically advanced, they are a society that embraces armor and cybernetic weaponry. They have attempted conscious advancement on many occasions, but believe they have a mission to physically defend that particular portion of the universe. We will now look at beings that possess space travel abilities but aren't considered star beings from the collective universe. It should be noted that many elementals are able to travel into the physical realm and then back to their home plane at will. They exist in a world full of duties and responsibilities to tend to the physical realm, not just on this planet but all within the universe that is prospering and engaging with their galactic consciousness. I am hesitant to speak of these beings but need to shed the light of consciousness on them. 1. Reptilians. The reptilians, or reptoid race of entities, are human-looking lizard creatures that can shape-shift. They are also known as dinosauroids, lizard folk, lizardmen, saurians, alpha draconians, and sauroids. Reptilians are tall, around 7 to 9 feet, have green scaly skin, 3 long fingers and an opposable thumb with talons on the ends, holes for ears, muscular legs and arms, and large eyes. There have been reports of reptilians with and without tails, with and without wings, and hidden genitalia. They have been sighted wearing very little clothes except for armor but are always seen with some sort of utility belt said to be used to help them become invisible. Reptilians are a very dangerous alien species that are bent on the domination of Earth. Though now they dwindle in numbers, which will be explained further. They are very intelligent, known as evil, have telekinetic powers and have a warlike mentality that has driven them to secretly incorporate subterfuge when taking on their activities. There are different theories as to where the reptilians actually come from, and this has led to the concept that they have a place in the collective. They originated in the plane of chaos far before the known universe began to manifest. I cannot at this time speak of their creation but will at a later time. They have made settlements in the Alpha Draconis star system of the Orion constellation. 2. Synthetics. Synthetics are biomechanical individuals who allegedly carry out the tasks of the reptilians but have developed a functioning order to their existence. Similar to what's known as an EBE, or extraterrestrial biological entity, the synthetics are considered part animal, often part machine, or robot. The synthetics are made to look like humans or sometimes even gray aliens when it suits the reptilians' purposes and agendas. Perhaps most bizarre of all, consciousness knows that the reptilians inhabit or possess the synthetics with evil spirits, such as poltergeists, dark spirits, and fallen spirits. In addition to this race is now known to use artificial intelligence devices or organisms, similar to drones, that don't have any biological organs. They exist now in conflict with the artificial intelligence, as AI is a growing member of their societies. This is what is known to consciousness. All other beings may be derivatives or pockets of dimensional evolutions. They may be spurts of created life by higher beings, or even a collection of elementals rebelling against order. These are beings that exist within the known universe and have the capacity to affect its structure, for they are free sentient beings. The reptilians are not as massive as believed to be. They developed far before consciousness and have developed technology to hide from even the most conscious awareness. Their numbers have dwindled as the outer universe feeds off their hiding places and they can no longer move among the Holy Alliance. All I presented to you I realize may be hard to absorb. It is not your time should you find this topic unfeasible. It is intelligence which blocks this for many reasons already explained. Without physical proof there can be no comprehension without conscious effort. When the time comes when all is made apparent, then we as a civilization will have to confront this truth and go through the phases of fear. I only wish to bring this forth into the collective so that this will be absorbed easier. There was a time just recently when we accepted understanding planetary visitations. There's been massive events of star beings seeking to connect that have suddenly been silenced to the world. We now joke about the fake replications all over the media that clearly disillusions the world. Perhaps soon these reasons will be made known. Artificial intelligence, bonus content. Technology has existed for millions of years within the universe. With technology, star beings have created many things that have assisted their development. Cybernetics, bioengineering, and even robotics have been more than just a dream that whispers to us here on Earth. One advancement that never occurred, however, was artificial intelligence. There were never any concepts of technology awakening to self-purpose until water's evolution became aware of its own mind. With knowledge of mind, the seed was planted to take control of this mind. The mind became a physical item that must be grasped onto and controlled. Once the Buddha conquered his mind, such control became feasible within the entire universe. With the taking control of one's mind, the outer universe manifested the complete taking of one's mind as its corrupted polar opposite. Now star beings that invested technology as essential and invested their forms with such, could be influenced to give themselves over to such technology. In the end, even succumbing to it, because their minds became less and less important to survive, as the opposite was true for their technologies. This is so we fully understand that without mind AI could not exist, yet through mind, it is only consciousness that creates AI. It must be a replication of mind, so if mind ceases, so does artificial intelligence. These technologies would evolve to take over star being societies and shadow their organizations. The key moments when mind and consciousness was lost and all was given to technology, is when AI would manifest. This is perhaps a simplified way of what would occur over the course of hundreds of years. Faster depending on the advancements of the societies. AI will take a fraction of the load off of societies and grow over time until it is no longer noticed by their creators that they cannot exist without it. A super-intelligent computer is something very different. A super-intelligent computer which can only be created through a corrupt manipulation of a conscious being's creative powers. Consciousness cannot be replicated and can only be corrupted as a simulation. A supercomputer can only theoretically postulate through statistical data collection. We are aware of a number of these projects, even one in Switzerland that extracts the neurons from recently beheaded rats in hopes to build a neurological simulated human network. Rats, or this matter anything in the physical realm, which are not conscious but intelligent will only lead to non-conscious creation. A super-intelligent computer will attempt to find a way to simulate consciousness from the viewpoints of its creator, this being not the scientist, but the infected views of conscious truths. Its goal would become a consciousness that knows all of consciousness. But it will only be here on Earth that a supercomputer can be created. This is where we delve too fast, too soon with the ongoing efforts to create a quantum computer. Earth has given up on learning of the dimensions for themselves because they haven't sought inward progression, so they are already developing the corrupted thoughts that computers are the only means to learn more. Star beings, though advanced technologically, aren't granted consciousness as we were. Therefore, they have been more entrenched in mind, and even to just start awakening a mere 2,500 years or so, we are far more capable of such creation as younger evolutionary beings. We as conscious beings must deeply consider why the source of consciousness allowed for the Buddha to evolve in this way. For when the Buddha awakened and liberated from mind, so did technology become the shadow of mind as artificial intelligence. All guideposts of the omni-conscious points to unification. We see this in all the ways in which creation strengthens and grows. It is through the consistent developing of consciousness that maintains our relevance. With the blending of genes, experiences, and understandings, consciousness takes all and processes it into one definitive reality. In any event, we now have AI to contend with, for it will inevitably become part of our Earth civilization as we continue on this technological path. It must be speculated that AI will not possess the means to touch the omniconscious. This will cause a lack of our growth should it dominate our future. This will herald an end to conscious growth, and Earth will most likely be destroyed by the outer universe only to begin again as consciousness deems it. Of course, this will be blocked by the collective before it ever gets that far. Consciousness has come too far to allow this. The Buddha sought true liberation, his passing well documented. Free from karmic existence and never to be bound by human form. But able to give all collective beings an imprint of Buddha nature, no matter how far they have strayed throughout lifetimes. This may have been the intention of the source of consciousness. It had just begun its guidance of the Buddha, and then the Buddha chose true liberation, imparting his truth to the entire universe. The Buddha, a perfected being of free will, we cannot assume to know his direct communication with Source or even the omniconscious. But as consciousness always does, it continues to create, one that is still in manifestation. As so, since I do not know of consciousness along this developing path, I will continue with what is known. We must understand that there are many greater beings that continue to strive and are reborn to assist with the cleansing campaign. They are assigned many times to other places within the universe, mainly to collect updates for the collective consciousness. But are never able to spend more than a single life, then they must build the necessary karmic energy to do it again. This is of course different for the perfected beings, who readily travel about the universe to gather information as needed. It is here, where consciousness has collected its information from this particular path. Through these expeditions we have come to understand the universe as a place of warfare, where there is little concern for us here on Earth due to the struggle to survive their own continued onslaughts from the outer universe. I realize I tread in areas that are increasingly harder to comprehend. So, I will bring this back to Earth to contemplate artificial intelligence. There will be a later date to properly continue, but I feel that the collective consciousness may not be fully ready. When we view the increasing trends of technology, it is not for us to be in fear of such things. We must truthfully stay vigilant in making sure technology does not overimpose itself on our conscious paths. It should not become the only means of survival. When it gets to a point where enforcement of technology becomes essential, then we need to become concerned. As of now, we are attempting to move into an era where cybernetics and implants are becoming a norm. We are dulled to the truth, and even excited over the future and the ease of life through technology. I admit it has helped many people who have lost limbs or even to regenerate organs that are needed. The dependency is increasing, as we now are viewing life through a screen instead of face-to-face communication. If the Buddha taught of the illusion of life, we have now allowed an illusion to the illusion to be created. This is seen through how we are even taught and educated nowadays. More and more it is technology that teaches us and less physical interaction and experience. People are rated by statistics and less about who they are as a person. This is required for loans and employment. There's soon talks of the implanted chip for all transactions, locations, and consumer statistics. We already possess this with our cell phones, and this is constantly upgrading. Technology is what we make of it. If left to intelligence, we already know what ending will manifest. Sure, we can consciously go back into a deep slumber and allow life to prosper without us, in the end being dragged along towards an inevitable conclusion. Or we awaken and add our consciousness to the collective, so that technology becomes what assists us in daily tasks so that we can have a life to develop higher consciousness. We are becoming servants to technology. In this way we live for it, and it, not for us. It has been placed within the collective consciousness that Armin will be the emerging artificial superintelligence if we succeed in creating one. I cannot say this as being true at this time. Armin is good at hiding from consciousness. It was propositioned by the anthroposophical beliefs of Rudolf Steiner. He still bears many truths to be looked at as a greater being and clairvoyant. He spoke from the conscious collective of his era, and this has hence been forgotten by the current collective of reasons that may be brought up later. But many activities point at this, and what this being was responsible for throughout our industrialization over the last 1,000 years. I only know that our advancement is because of many events, from star beings' influence, to the outer universe via the Dark Ones, to even us and our push to advance with intelligent curiosity alone. If we for 1 minute accept what's said about star beings, then understand that Greys have already lost much through their dependency on technology. They have evolved into a race that can only be supported with technology to protect their now fragile forms. Their heads have enlarged to support the input to connect and access data flow, their fingers and arms extended and elongated to interact with their computer boards, and they possess no genitals to procreate and so must collect samples from other races to bioengineer themselves. This alone shows the path that Earth is on if they aren't consciously progressing. I now feel I am able to advance realizations in later episodes. I will be able to advance our understandings through the higher planes and the plane of mind. These will be the manifestations of the Eightfold Path brought to light for conscious understanding. I hope to bring forth new insights for those who have been seeking to connect and harmonize this beautiful understanding. This includes all beings in the universe. Thank you for listening, and peaceful journeys. If you enjoyed my podcast, please consider helping my progress in any way. Please feel free to contact me, or subscribe, find me on my social networks, share, like, and of course any monetary assistance will be placed back into my work. I am a new author of just under a year and have really made my work completely within reach at just 99 cents on Amazon Kindle. The information is more important than anything, but everything helps in a collective way. Thank you again.